So as you can see, like I've already mentioned, I've got a mix of decks from the previous format and the current format, and then decks that a lot of people have kind of like either stopped talking about or considered, or as budget, or could have decent matchups in certain scenarios and everything else in between. So I wanted to cover as many bases as I possibly could. So let's start off with Branded. Now, Branded already, I think, is one of the, if not the best deck of the format. Now, the reason for that one is it's already proven that it's strong. So it finished second place at Irish Nationals, losing out to Cool Tunes. It had won 3 Nationals back-to-back prior to that. So I'm pretty sure it won, I think it was Germany, France, and one other. So yeah, like Branded has already proved it. And then post Forbidden Limited List, all they've done is lost Branded Fusion goes to 1. And honestly, the deck didn't care about Branded Fusion that much anyway. Like it wasn't a centerpiece of the Branded play. It was just oh, this is nice to have. And they didn't rely on it turn 0. It wasn't like a core piece that they needed to have in order to do anything. So the deck is still insanely strong. It's still one of them really complicated decks to face against as well, because unless you've played it in and out and like constantly against it, to try and always know exactly the best thing to hit with it can always be quite tricky as well. So yeah, I think Branded is going to be, or is the one of the top decks right now. Malice. So Malice did take a bit of a consistency hit. It doesn't have the best of matchups. Like the swap out is you can swap out 1 rabbit for a Silent Mine, and if you want to. We've got Fairy Tale Snow back, which is a little bit of copium, but there are ways that you can, get Fairy Tale Snow to the graveyard, use Fairy Tale Snow to banish your Malice monsters, pay some life points and float them back. It's one of the ones that I do feel is, I don't know if I'd put it under Jump Scare or if I'd put it under High End Contender, because it's kind of this grey area between the two of them. Whereas I feel that a lot of players instantly will be like, right, Malice is completely not dead, but Malice shouldn't be as represented as it is. I'm not going to prepare for it. And then they'll get hit with a jump scare of it and they're like, oh, damn, Malice is to the deck. But then I also think that the Malice within the right scenarios has a very good way of matching up. So like being able to use Dominus Spark, being able to use Dominus Impulse, utilising other at Ignista cards as well could be really useful, and Cyverse monsters. So what I'm trying to say is Malice was doing okay pre-list. The biggest difference I think for Malice is not the list, but it's actually like the new decks that come into the fray. Like I think Cool Tunes can make it kind of awkward for them, and that could really kind of make it a bit difficult for them to kind of navigate the way they want to. So I wouldn't say it's got multi-surprise factor, but I'm just going to move this down actually. I think it has this jump scare ability, but I also think it still has high-end like competitive nature. So it's kind of this line here. Whereas if you're not prepared for it, a lot of people, and like you completely forget about it and think it's dead and it's not going to be used or whatever, it will jump scare you. But then if you are prepared for it as well, I think it can still compete. So I feel that it kind of rides this line here. I might change that later on in the video, but like I might bump up to high-end contenders as we go. Vanquish Soul K9. I honestly don't think they care that much about the list. They lost Noroi. It's like, oh no. Anyway, I don't think many hybrid K9 decks really lost that much. And I think that they still a really, really powerful deck there. And it might have a worse Cool Tune matchup. And this is what I'm saying. I don't think the Forbidden Limited list actually changed the deck trajectories of what was being played, and I don't think they brought anything back that is like format shifting. So it's ultimately one of these ones where I think Blazing Dominion is going to do more for the format than the Forbidden Limited list. I definitely don't think it's a jump scare style deck, because I don't think it's at the same level where a lot of people are like, all right, people won't be playing Malice, like the consistency is just low or it has really bad matchups. I still think a lot of players will play this. I still think the deck can do really well. And there might be players that were on like K9 Vanquish Soul and Draco Tail might now go, right, well, I'm not going to play Draco Tail, I'll just play K9. So I still think with the right pilot, the K9s can be a very high-end contender. And also remember, all of the Cool Tunes, well, Rotary triggers Cool Tunes. Rotary triggers Izuna. And all of the Cool Tunes want to trigger in the graveyard. So they all trigger the it all triggers the Izuna plays and the Lupus plays. So I don't think it has a jump scare factor. I wouldn't sit down and see someone play Vanquish Soul and go, yo, you're still on Vanquish Soul, K9. I'd be like, okay, it kind of is what it is. So maybe it's not a high-end contender anymore either, but I think it's definitely better than Malice, but I don't think it's jump scare. Loonlights. Loonlights are really weird. And what I mean by that is, like, if I just quickly go to this bit here, just so you can kind of see. So this is like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro decks. So you could see that they've got Mitsurugi Sky Strikers as a top 8 6 days ago. Sky Strikers top 8 a week ago. 1 week ago, K9 Vanquish Soul. So I'm not going to use these as like the end all be all, because obviously these are pre-list. Like the list doesn't go into effect until Monday. But it kind of shows that these decks are up and around there. Loonlights, I don't think are a jump scare deck. They're just an annoying deck to play against. Like, it's definitely beatable. And I think that with Cool Tune playing so many hand traps, it's a lot harder for them to do anything with. But at the end of the day, just get into Liger Dancer. If you can consistently stop them getting Liger Dancer, they lose. But as soon as they get to a Liger Dancer is really annoying for like any, if not most decks to deal with. And I think the same could be said about like Cool Tunes to try and deal with it when they get Liger Dancer can make it awkward. It is really one of them ones where if you don't open up enough disruptions and they get into the Liger Dancer, more times than not, you probably scoop it up and go to game 2. So, I mean, for that factor, like Liger Dancer itself as a card is a jump scare card. Like, they get to it, you're like, that's annoying. I also think this is like a high-end contender as well. Like, I think it definitely has the potential to do really, really well. Make of that what you will with the dog barking in the background. She either agrees or disagrees. Oh, that's a very sugary drink. Ugh. I think with the right pilot, Loonlights are actually just really annoying. But maybe I don't need Future Prospect. Maybe this needs to be... Is it Hit and Miss? Is Hit and Miss the right title for this? Potential? Is Potential the right one? Maybe that's what I need to put in. Maybe like these ones have potential to still be annoying. Maybe even Malice. Maybe that's what it should be. If you lot think that any of these other titles should change, then let me know. I'm just trying to be a bit more unique. I don't always want to put it as tier 0, tier 1. I want to be able to go... I don't want to go, this deck is a tier 0 deck. Oh, why is it a tier 0 deck? Oh, well, it's doing this and this. Like, I want to be able to provide... I want to be able to provide analysis behind it. Mitsurugi. Now, pure Mitsurugi, what did they really lose? They didn't really lose anything on the Forbidden Limited list. I just don't think pure Mitsurugi is the way to go anymore. I think it's going to be Mitsurugi hybrids. Now, you can count that as like Mitsurugi Striker, Mitsurugi Clown Crew. I just don't think this counts as pure anymore. So as pure, it's got like Mitsurugi's in as general have got potential. Like the deck's still really good. Like it's budget accessible. I think loads of players will be on it, but I just generally feel that the deck is good in it, the baseline plays of it are just generally really good. White Forest. White Forest again are a bit of a weird one. I wouldn't put them under jump scare, but they have potential. Like the deck is really annoying. I would say the biggest weakness of... Probably has to go about there. The biggest weakness of White Forest is that it takes quite a bit of time to do and it burns through a lot of resource. I think a lot of people were hoping that Droll was going to get absolutely nuked on the most recent list, and then decks that needed to lose to Droll would run rampant. So I'm actually quite glad that Droll is still where it is right now. I mean, I suppose it's got a multi-surprise factor when I put it that way. Just because the amount of time, every time I see White Forest up on a stream, and every time I see White Forest at an event, no one knows what it does. No one fully understands what all the cards do. And like the one big difference that you'll get with a deck like this is when people don't know what the deck does, they don't know what it searches, they don't know what extenders you've got, they don't know what plays you're trying to make, and it does make it very awkward. But then on the flip side of that, I feel you've also got to be quite respectful that super polymerization could very easily be running around the format. So that's something you need to respect quite a bit. And that makes Ilya Sylvia and Dragoon a lot less of a threatening Enfield. But I just feel that you need to do your research with this. And I think it will really catch a lot of people off guard. I don't think it's a constant topper. There's just no way. Arguably, you could say it's a high-end contender. But I still don't think it's like an absolute dominator. Dracotal. Dracotal are interesting because Dracotal went from this, like a consistent topper, and they've lost an Arfulion to 2, which doesn't really do anything. Lucius to 2 is kind of like, okay, that's a consistency hit. But then Rahu Dracotal to 1 is a mass hit. But I'm still like, well, they can still turn 0-5 mana. They're either going to now mix it with Magistus and they can utilize Fairy Tale Snow, or they're going to utilize it with more branded cards and still do really well. Like the one branded fusion doesn't really affect them that much. So I still feel it's a high-end contending deck. I just feel that it will have to be hybrids, which it was already on a branded hybrid anyway. And a lot of people are now going into the Magistus because Fairy Tale Snow's back. So I just feel that there's a lot that can be kind of like interchanged with this right now. Yummies. Whoa. I don't think I've got anything up here for yummies. Can I add another list? Add a row below. Wait, that's not what I had. No. Oh, it wasn't yellow, was it? Let's make it blue. Okay. Let's go. There you go. Just for yummy. No, I don't know where yummies are going to be, to be honest. Again, they definitely need to be a hybrid. But, like, yummy way to 1, like, sure, bro, okay. It just makes it more susceptible to that extra deck rip. But the deck itself can still very much compete. Like, it went 3-1 at locals today, and it still did really, really well. I don't know if it leans more on the Fiendsmith. I just think it's more fragile. Like, it's kind of one of these ones where I say it has potential, but unlike decks like White Forest, where few people know how this deck is built, because the Yummy deck is pretty much same around the board, it's not as hard to, like, you go, right, okay, Cupsy does this, and Cookie does this, and Lollipo does this, and Marshmallow does this. It's like you should be able to know them a lot easier than trying to go, right, okay, well, Sylvie is this one, but Sylvie is also a Synchro, and Sylvie is also a Fusion. It's like, bro, you got the same name for like 3 different ones. I don't think it's a high-end contender, but I think it's in this bracket here, and this is what's so important about a Forbidden Limited list or just new formats, is it kind of puts decks that were always here and brings them down a level. So I don't know. What have I got? Piri Map replaces the Cupsy. It's light. I mean, Piri Map may replace it, but that's still half your life points to get the search you need. It still then struggles against Droll just as much. So I wouldn't be able to put it as a high-end contender in my opinion. But it's probably one that just has potential still. Like, it's just not dead. It still has potential to play, would be what I would say on it. Some of these are still left over from the last one, so apologies. Some of these I'm just going to blitz through very quickly. K9 for hire. Multi-surprise factor, I guess. I don't think a lot of people respect the Fur Hire cards. The Fur Hire cards do give them a lot of draw power, a decent amount of disruption, and then the K9s obviously allow the deck to be like in a higher-end competitive deck. And I feel that it has a lot of... Again, these decks you could arguably put under potential, but I feel that these have a little bit more where players just don't know exactly what each card does. So you have to be very careful, though, because especially with the way the game is these days, you have to be careful with how much time is used during duel number 1 explaining what each of your cards do. And you've also got to take into account that if you're looking at Cool Tunes being one of the highest represented decks in the room, the big difference between Cool Tunes and Branded is that Cool Tunes can play like a crazy amount of non-engine, like an absolute crazy amount of non-engine. So your deck then needs to have to play through this crazy amount of non-engine that they're using, whether that be Ash. Like previously, before we got Rotary, playing Ash, Ogres, and Bells was like a little bit extra because you couldn't really synchro into anything as good as you wanted it to go into. Whereas now, your Bell, your Ash, your Ogres can all be turned into Trap Maker, and then you start triggering off a chain of events. So it does have a lot of surprise factors, but it probably is the weakest one. It's weird. I wouldn't say it's dead, but I don't know what we changing dead to. Struggled, I guess. Struggles, because it's not. I'm not saying that they can't do it, but they definitely are a lot weaker than they need to be. Exorcist, I'm going to put on the struggles. Like the deck's really good, and don't get it wrong. If you go first and stuff falls your way, the deck can do well, and it is definitely a surprise factor. It probably also has a jump scare factor as well. The difference is with Exosisters, as soon as someone says to Martha, "Oh, we reveal it in the hand," especially someone hitting another monster, it's getting ashed. And when you lose Martha, you're then like, ah, okay. I suppose the other thing you could do with Exosisters, though, is you could play Exosisters with Dominus Spark. Because you can very easily get your trap card into the graveyard. So, to be fair, if I sat down at a big tournament and like round 5 onwards and anyone sat down with Exosisters on me, that would probably be a bit of a jump scare. So, yeah. K9 Furhire is so bad and overrated. Losing the Roy also means losing multiple one-card combos. Clown Crew arrived, but they're not higher than jump scare. I mean, I disagree with that. Well, I don't know. I think right now a lot of people underestimate Clown Crew. Like the fact that if you're talking pure, then yes. But like Clown Crew can be played with Mitsurugi, which I've seen, which is really good. I personally like playing it with Kashtiras. I've seen people play it with Runics. I think it's generally like a really good deck, and I think it actually has multi-surprise factor. So, I mean, I suppose maybe we do it this way. Maybe that's a way of doing it. Archmage. I think Archmage are a high-end contender. Like, I don't think they lost much with Canines. Maybe you could arguably put them here. It's not a constant topper, but I think Archmages are like incredibly good. So yeah, I think Archmages have huge potential. Again, I think it's one of them decks that not a lot of people respect. Not a lot of people know what it does. They see the K9s, they go, oh, okay. And then they start seeing the Archmages and they're like, what? And then you're starting to control their top deck. Like, I generally think that Archmage is a high-end contender. Are they on the same as Dracotal? I don't know. Like, this is all still a bit up in the air to see what happens in the next couple of weeks with the high-end events, but kind of interesting. I'm from the video of Clown Crew, and I want to ask what the use of the Fallen and the Virtuous. So the Fallen and the Virtuous is just like an insanely good field breaker. Because you don't care about your extra deck with Clown Crew, you can play Fallen and the Virtuous. You send Albion, you destroy a face-up card on the field, and then in the end phase, your Albion sets you another Fallen and the Virtuous. You then activate Fallen and the Virtuous again, and if you're playing free, you send an Albion, and then you get another Fallen and the Virtuous for the next turn. So you've got 3 turns back-to-back with a one-card target dodge or a target destruction. Or you send the Ecclesia, and the Ecclesia then becomes a disruption by shuffling back the Albion in itself. I've been playing Clown Crew since they've been revealed in the OCG. It's at the highest in jump scare pure, and Mitsu variant sucks too because it's about $10. Why does it suck? Because it's $10 though. Like 10 bricks. I don't know why I read it as 10 bucks. Yes, the Mitsurugi version does play the most bricks of them, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. I don't think it's totally 10 bricks. Like, I was watching someone play it today, and I can see where the synergy lies. I agree with you. It's not my favourite version. Like I've already said, I personally prefer the Kashtira version. Just because so many people are worried. Like, people aren't in that panic state yet of Crackle to play multiple monsters in their extra deck where possible. Because, like, extra decks don't they don't have the space to play multiples. But I actually quite liked my version because my version I played less hand traps and more breakers, and a lot of the breakers caught people off guard. And then the cash tier is what it gave you is it gave me like consistent resource, but it also gave you an engine that people were worried about. They were like, I don't want Birth to sit on the field because I lose my graveyard. I don't want Unicorn to be on the field because you start ripping my extra deck. So, I mean, that's how I personally like it. And the fact of the matter is, you can also then you can decide on your vanities and your rulers and everything else if you want to. So, I like the build that I put together for Clown Crew. I do agree. It is. I would either put it under multi-surprise factor or jump scare. I think it's one of the ones where if people don't respect it, it becomes a multi-surprise factor because then people don't know when to interact with it. When you know how to deal with it, it's a bit of a jump scare, but then you go, right, I just save any Ash or Impulse for Malabarisme. And if you Ash or Impulse Malabarisme, that's it. And I suppose that's the one big thing with them as well. That's why the Mitsurugis work nicely, is because the Mitsurugis themselves are such a big Ash bait. Like, reveal Murakumo, Ash. Like, that's a guarantee. And if you then go, right, here's Malabarisme or here's Murakumo, not Murakumo, sorry, Habakiri, like, you're like, what one would you Ash? You Ash one, I get to resolve the other. So would you much rather I resolve the full Mitsurugi engine, or would you much rather that I resolve the Malabarisme? Obviously, the risk on the Malabarisme is if you don't have Bianca Viso, you're not doing anything. So, I mean, technically, we've already just talked about that. So I think it's either a multi-surprise factor. If it's a hybrid, it's a multi-surprise factor. If it's pure, it's a jump scare. But I think more. I would be amazed if people play it pure at big events. I think if you're playing it at big events, you're playing as a hybrid. And I also think it has potential as well. I do think that Clown Crew deck can do quite well, depending on the pilot and depending on the build. So, yeah, I like it. Magnets. Magnets is a weird one because magnets have kind of like just dropped off. It's just kind of like disappeared and nothing's happened to it. I thought it was going to get hit on a list. I think magnets have potential. It will definitely be Magnet Fiendsmith, but maybe they just have. Do they have a really bad Cool Tune matchup? Surely not, because I mean, I suppose you can destroy their stuff quite easily. They don't really care that much about the spell and traps. I suppose there are ways to out Naturia Beast. So I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. I think magnets have potential. I don't think it's a multi-surprise factor, and I don't think it's. I suppose I've kind of got to come down to what my definition of jump scare is. Is jump scare a deck that you sit down, you look against it, and someone flips that card, and you go, "Whoa, what the hell is this?" And then you figure it out from that point on. Maybe. I don't know. I think magnets still have potential. I still think the deck's really good. I still think it's really strong. So, Radiance. Radiance are weird to me. They've lost chance, so they've lost 2 bits of consistency. So pure is a lot harder to play now. I feel the Fiendsmith version still does really, really well. The fact that they don't care much about their extra deck is quite nice. I'm shocked more people aren't on it. And I think, to be fair though, the 1 week we had with Blazing Dominion, it had a really bad matchup against Cool Tunes because they would just go, here's Rose Whip, and then they couldn't play. Whereas now, I actually think it has a very, very good option to be a high-end contender because I think it's got... I think it can deal with Cool Tunes a little bit because like the worst thing that Cool Tunes can do to it are destroy their spell. They can't really rip that much from the extra deck because you're going to be playing 2 to 3 of the links anyway. So I think that they've got a very good matchup. I think Crocea is still really good. Maybe if you rip from the extra deck with Crackle, you're trying to hit the Great Fly so they can't OTK, but I think it's fine. People don't play it because of Fua, and it struggles breaking boards, but it's still good. Why would you worry about Fua with... Like, why would you worry about Fua? I mean, the Fiendsmith part I get, you'd probably be a little bit worried about Fua, but I don't think it's that bad. I think RT can replace the consistency. Yeah, I mean, maybe it can. Like, maybe there are some engines that it can now play that it didn't usually get to play. And I think that a lot of people with Sky Striker and with Radiant Typhoon, I think more people were worried that with Rose Whip around, they were like, we can't play this deck with Rose Whip around, so they stopped kind of considering it. And like I said, we've only had one event that was old list with new product. By the time we play this again, it's all going to be new list, new product. So. Odeon. The reason I've got Odeon up here is because every single time we talk about Odeon, they just get a new Dominus card. Now, obviously, they got Dominus Sparks. I don't think that Sparks is a card they're going to want to play because it locks them into light and dark effects. So I don't think it changes it that much. But I think it is definitely a jump scare style deck. And I feel that like if I sat down and someone then goes normal summon Man with a Mark, I'd be like, what? Or if they went like normal summon, if they played like the Man with a Mark Primite or Odeon Primite, I think it'd be really like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Fire King, I think Fire King struggles. Like, it kind of has decent matchups, and the Cool Tunes will destroy them, which it kind of allows them to float a little bit. So it probably has a fairly decent Cool Tune matchup. Maybe it's a jump scare, actually. Maybe if I sat down against Fire Kings, I'd be like, what? And then I guess I've got to try and play around it and navigate in the right way. Again, it's another deck that doesn't care that much about Thua. Perulia can be a little bit of an issue. I suppose Branded matchup would be quite bad because Branded, they just go like Mirror Jade Banish. They can use Super Poly. But then again, I suppose Fire King can use Super Poly as well. So I actually don't think Fire King is that bad. The more and more I think about it, to be honest. I still think it's a fairly decent deck. Gem Knight. Gem Knight is weird because actually I'm pretty sure I saw a Gem Knight on here. I could have sworn I did. Yeah, there you go. The side deck remote dual WCQ regional 2 weeks ago. Gem Knight. And it is literally just Gem Knight with 3 Perulias, 3 Fuas. Like Go Second Gem Knights, I have no issue with. I think Go Second Gem Knights are going to be an absolute beast of a deck. My concern with Gem Knights is Go First. So I don't know how good Gem Knights can be going first. So I think it's got a multi-surprise factor. I think it's one of them ones that if you don't, like, if someone sits down against you with Gem Knights and you don't know what the deck does, you're going to struggle to interact with it at the right time at the right place. So, yeah, I think Gem Knight definitely has potential as well. I just think if we're looking at it logically, do I think Gem Knight could top like one of the upcoming Nats or YCSs? I don't think it does, but I think there's a big difference between topping an event and like actually doing well in an event. And what I mean by that is like, I reckon most of the tops we're going to start to see will be like predominantly Branded and Cool Tunes. So, yeah. Yeah, but like you feel me? You never lose, I swear. I mean, obviously they do lose because if they never lost, then it would be the best deck in the world. You also say never go first, but there are players that will make you go first. If players are smart enough and good enough, they know that Gem Knight have a lot weaker like go first build. So like look at this, right? If you were to go first on this one, if you side for going second thinking you're going second, right? But if I win the dice roll, if you're a Gem Knight player and you win the dice roll, you choose to go second, it might put your opponent on a bit of an edge and be like, right, okay, I kind of feel that they've got a breaker deck going here, right? But imagine if you get pushed to go first, right? This isn't going to do anything going first. This isn't going to do anything going first. This isn't doing anything going first. This is barely going to do anything going first. These aren't doing anything going first. Like, you lose 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards. 13 cards for going first. And the best that you can do going first is probably sit on a Baguska, which I think can get outed. So, a good player makes Gem Knights go first. And then an even better player, I mean, don't get me wrong, it'll be harder to go against this if you go, like, letting this go second, because you have a chance of running into Fuas, Perulias, and then you get the chance of running into Drop Blitz, Lightning Storms, Fallens. Like, So the going first end board is Bagusta, Omni, SP, whatever you draw. So, okay, so you have to see Fallen, you have to see Droplet. You've got one Omni, you've got one Baguska, and you've got the SP, right? So where's the Omni under Baguska? The Omni's going to be Holocore, right? You're playing 6 cards against those. You've got 3 cards against 6. You've got no in this one. You've got no hand traps. So if they break the field, if they break your spell and trap zone, there's a reason that this is. What is this? Was this the winner? No, this was top 4. Okay, not like I'm not taking anything away from Zoe here, right? Because obviously they got top 4 at YCS. You just have to be logical and realistic when you talk about these. That it's a good deck. It's not gonna win. Like the chances of it winning is a lot. It's not a consistent topper, like Branded is. You could argue it's a high-end contender, but the fact of the matter is you've got one Gem Knight there out of however many tournaments that is. And then look at all of this. What have we got? Fiends with Elf Note, Branded Dracatal, Agnes and Malice. So Malice, Vanquish Soul, Malice, Lunalight, Branded Chimera. Nice. K9, Malice, Yummy, Mitsu, Branded, Vanquish Soul, Branded, Mitsu, Branded, right? So, like, they're consistent top-end decks. They're high-end competitive decks. So, I mean, so you've sat on Baguska 4 times and only got out here once. So, okay. I'm not saying that you can't win, but it's like there's a big difference between locals and then going to, like, a YCS, a Nats, or anything. Is it a high-end contending deck? I don't think so. Is it a consistent topper at high-end events? It's not. Like, you can see that in the deck breakdown. It just isn't. So, and then you have to survive an OTK then if your opponent has an OTK'd you. So, yeah. I mean, like, okay, so sit on Baguska and Crown. Like, I'm not saying the deck can't do stuff. I'm just saying if you think that if you have to feel like if you look at this fairly, Gem Knight is not the best deck in the format. Like, that's just a fact. Gem Knight is not the best deck in the format. This is what else we got. Do I think Sprite will become playable again because they get semi-limited and totally awesome get unbanned? I don't think they will, no. I think they've kind of just been naturally power crept in general. So, Mermaid Atlantean. Mermaid Atlantean is always a bit of a weird one because Mermaid Atlantean, I'll have to disagree. It's at the very least potential. Potential. Would I put Gem Knight on the same level as Lunalights, K9 Vanquish Soul, Malice, Mitsu, Yummy? I mean, I don't think you can though, right? If we're talking about potential, then maybe all bar Lunalight need to go up here. Because if we use this, Malice has topped. Malice has topped multiple times. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So Malice has topped 3-1 at the moment in regards to Gem Knights, right? And then we look at Mitsu. So Mitsu, you've got 1, 2. There's 2 just on this page. And then we look at Yummy. We've got 1, 2, 3 Yummy. You look at Vanquish Soul. You've got 1, 2 Vanquish Soul just on this page. So like, I suppose if you're gonna put it up on potential, it's got to be, it'll be above Magnets. Technically, it'll be above Lunalight, but post list, I think Lunalight's higher. You'd probably be looking at something like this, right? If you're gonna push it to potential, that's kind of what you're looking at. Is this OCG meta or TCG? TCG meta. It's TCG meta. You can really play with what you want to out here. You just have to be aware of the game and what people are going for it. I like we'll talk to Enneacraft in a minute. Like, I think Enneacraft's insane, but Only loot like those decks wins against Gem Knights unless they have the pre-knowledge of you playing gems. You don't care about them sending you first once. The only issue is them sending you 2 times. I mean, I just think, like, I'm not saying that Gem Knights aren't good, but you can't tell me, right, that all of these people, like, people play Gem Knights here. Like, if there was any, if there wasn't, oh wait, there you go. There's a magnet warrior there. So I suppose magnets are arguably on the same level, right? If you're using that data as the thing, like, we've got one Gem Knight. So to say that Gem Knight is the best deck, I mean, I don't think that's a fair reflection when I'm looking at all of this data. So, I mean, maybe it does have potential. I mean, maybe you can push it for the potential one. I just think it needs a lot of factors going for it. And then I question, you know, why wouldn't it be here? Mitsu this low, where are we at? Where's Yubel and Voice's Voice? I mean, Yubel and Voice's Voice aren't up here. Yubel, you probably have a bit of an argument for, I guess. Voice's Voice, I don't think you can put up here. Mitsu this low. I mean, Mitsu isn't a high. Like, if we look to these again, keeping in mind that this is all going to be post list. But I don't think Mitsu have really lost anything post list, right? So what have we got here? So we've got pure Mitsu. That's quite impressive. Mitsu Sky Striker. So maybe Mitsu goes. I suppose it comes down to what hybrid you're playing post list, though. Really, so it's always going to be subjective because you can never really dictate exactly what list people are playing. Mermail is for sure better than Gem, for example, if you look at the top in track record. I mean, if we look at the top in track record, at the moment, Gem Knights have more than Mermails. I don't see any Atlantean decks yet. In the past, well, these 2 months ago. So these have all been updated recently. Let's have a look. Have I got date? Sort by. Is this the most recent one? Brazil Nats is Cool Tunes branded. Mitsu branded. Azamina. Despia branded. Cool Tune branded. Ryziel Mitsu. Cool Tune. Doomsy. Cool Tune. Mitsu branded. Cool Tune branded. Cool Tune. Fiendsmith Yubel. Wow, okay, that's impressive. What we got here? Oh wow, it's legit just Fiendsmith Yubel. That's cool. I like that. That's really cool. That one is actually. Memo has not won against my gem deck in 20 matches. Multiple of my buddies play it, gets destroyed. Pure Mitsu and Mitsu Azamina feel really strong. I'm not saying Momo is bad, but saying Momo is better is absurd because it dies to everything. Mitsu stayed the same while other decks evolved like Cool Tunes and Elf Knights. Yeah, I agree. Like just other decks are just going to power creep it a little bit. Pure Mitsu can freely play Harmonia and Spark. I mean, just because they can freely play those cards doesn't mean, like, Clown Crew can freely play those cards. Is that going to mean that they're now on the same level as Mitsu? What else can play those? Cool Tunes are obviously a different story. Red Dragon Archfiend can freely play those cards. Does that put them on the same level as Mitsu? Like, just because they can play those cards doesn't, like, instantly, like, rank them to be one of the highest contending decks, right? Mermail is 100% better than Gems. I mean, it depends on what data you're using. If you're using the most recent top decks, then it's not. But if you're using, like, lifetime tops, then it arguably is. So the question kind of comes down to, if we're looking at the upcoming format, when you look at the consistent decks that you might end up facing, being stuff like Branded, being stuff like Cool Tunes, who's going to have the better matchup? Is it going to be Mermails or is it going to be Gems? Mermails want to go first and can hand rip very easily. They're decent at going second because they can also use the Poseidra, which is actually a really good field breaking card. Gem Knights themselves just play a lot of breakers. And I would say that Gem Knights would have done worse against Cool Tunes with Rose Whip, because then half their breakers get turned off straight away. So you activate Fallen the Virtuous, it gets negated with RS, and then everything else is down and dead. So some lines when he's playing Utopia, I didn't expect I would use Noisy to describe a deck. Mermail topped Mexican Nats. When was Mexican Nats? Mermail. 1 week ago. Goatee Atlantean Mermails 3 weeks ago. Atlantean Mermails top 8. How far back do we want to go? Should we compare this? Should we go 3 months, right? So let's go to, I mean, even though it's not really fair to go back so far, but let's say 2 months, okay? 2 months is kind of, or a month. Let's go for a month. So if we go for a month, there was 5 tops with the featured Mermails. So if we go back a month, how many were Gems? 4. So technically, if you want to use this data that I've got in front of me, technically, Mermail has topped more than Gems in the past month. Make of that what you will. I mean, I always think that Mermail Lantern always has potential. Like, the deck itself is always an annoyance to face against. If it goes first, it can play through certain interactions. And the fact that Poseidra... I don't know, I think Poseidra can just be really, really good. Unfortunately, Mermail best deck. I mean, it's a fact that Mermail isn't best deck, but if we use if the question is what's been the better deck over the past month, Gem Knights or Mermails, well, the argument would then have to be that Mermails has it. I always think, actually, I'm curious if it's more than Magnets as well. I mean, everyone's going to think that their deck's the best deck. I mean, that's fair enough, but... Magnets. Oh, in the past month. Fiendsmith Magnet Warriors, yet they've got an Overraptor as the art. What the hell? I mean, Fiendsmith Magnet Warriors taking names. Wow, Fiendsmith Magnet Warriors have got loads in the past month. Damn. Okay, well, Magnets are definitely higher than those two, in my opinion. Mermail is like a multi-surprise. I don't think Mermail is multi-surprise anymore. Like... What my multi-surprise means is it means it's a deck that people never respect, never understand what it does. Whereas I think eventually people need to start respecting Mermail. I really do. Anyway, I've got to move on these ones. So, Memento, I'll come back to Blue Eyes in a minute. Memento is always an annoying thing to do with. Like, Memento's such a weird potential style deck, but it's also a multi-surprise factor. I actually think it shares the same as these, where... it's not run or played consistently enough for everyone to now know what the deck does, or to know what the deck does religiously. It's still insanely powerful. It catches a lot of people off guard. It's definitely better at going first than it is going second, but it's still a very good deck. It's a bit of a weird one all round, to be honest. I think it has potential. Let's have a look. Was there any Memento... Memento. Have they topped much in the past month? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in the past month with a Radiant Typhoon package. So then leans into Fiendsmith. Like, the deck has potential. Like, this deck can do stuff. I really do think it has. Yeah. Okay. Blue Eyes. I don't know. I feel that Blue Eyes has future potential. I also like the inclusion of playing Rotary and Blue Eyes so you can get an additional normal summon of a tuner without needing to rely on the field spell. I think that's really quite good. It's not really a jump scare. It did struggle against Radiant because they just popped the True Light. So it's also going to struggle against Cool Tune because they're just going to pop the True Light as well. So still good, but you know. I'm just going to jump into Cool Tunes right now. Like I think Cool Tunes are just going to be maybe well, I don't know. Branded has a good matchup against it. Maybe. I think the loss of Rose Whip means that there's not going to be any easy wins for Cool Tune. Like they can't no longer just go cool, put Rose Whip on the board. That's it. They win. So yeah. Hope Konami can buff Evil Twins next year. Oh, that'd be really kind of cool, actually. Yeah, but like Cool Tunes are where Cool Tunes are. Like they're well at the top there. Red Dragon Archfiend. I would love to put Red Dragon Archfiend in potential. I think Red Dragon Archfiend does have potential. Depending on the hybrid, I think it has multi-surprise factor. Probably needs to be something like this. Because Red Dragon Archfiend is actually really good. And it kind of comes down to the variant that you play. So I've played... So the Red Dragon Archfiend Pure went 3-1 last locals. The only loss was to Clown Crew. The version today, which played the Albaz package, again went 3-1. The matchups probably weren't that better, like weren't massively better. But against Cool Tunes, it wasn't as if Cool Tunes like auto won. There was just like in game 3, just facing loads and loads of hand traps. It's kind of like not many decks play through 5 hand traps or like 4 hand traps and then a starter. The fact you can also play it with Mitsu as well can be very, very good. So it's really going to come down to the variant. It'll be interesting to see what variant Revs takes to Nats. I like the idea of the Elf Note version because I quite like how Elf Note play. But I don't know how effective that will be going forward. Right, I'm going to have to start burning through these. Enneacraft. Now, Enneacraft, I personally think Enneacraft have potential. I think Enneacraft has a lot of potential because I think, like, with Enneacraft, what we get is I think Enneacraft are so disrespected because no one reads Enneacraft cards. People are always like, they never realise that it's not a once per turn. One of the biggest weaknesses to Enneacraft was something like evenly matched, and that doesn't matter. Like, not many people are playing evenly matched. Going second, I think they can still play relatively well because they can just go put Mar down and then go on from there. The issue is going second, more times than not, your opponent will have multiple effects to activate, resolve, and do what they need to do. So it does get very, very convoluted and very, very tricky to get the most out of the deck going second. I also feel that it's going to struggle a little bit more to get its overall win con done with Ghost Ogre possibly running around in the format. Now, obviously, if Ghost Ogre disappears, and it's less of a big issue. But I feel a lot of people disrespect Enneacraft and they don't know what it does. So, I mean, if you're not going to put it in potential, a more reasonable thing would be to put it into a multi-surprise factor. I'm personally kind of like semi-terrified to face Enneacraft because they just do so much. And they're quite annoying to deal with because a lot of cards nowadays, to try and break stuff, they need to be face up. And then if you were to play Raigeki, you need to worry about if they've put the Spider in play. Or the Scorpion, sorry. And then we've also got Spear. And Spear is just like an absolute chain-breaking menace. Like, the fact that you can't then build your own chains is mental. And I think it could be very, very awkward. I think Enneacraft has potential to cause a lot of issues. And it's kind of like a pendulum stun deck in a way. So I think if played correctly and if you learn the Enneacraft bits inside and out, it can actually be very, very strong. Sky Striker. I think Sky Striker has high-end potential. It would have been really bad if Rose Whip was still around. The fact that Rose Whip isn't still around, I think it can be very, very powerful. suppose the argument is kind of how many tops it had here. But like I've already mentioned, we're in this really weird pocket of, there you go. Like after the last month, how many has it had? Like it's got a whole page of tops already in the last month. So, yeah, I read what Enneacraft do, and I'm also terrified that with Cool Tunes, Enneacraft extra deck with the funniest thing though. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they can also play Reaper is pretty funny, not going to lie. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Cool Tune decks play Reaper, but you never know. Yeah, I think Sky Strikers actually have a fairly decent matchup against Cool Tunes because they can dodge target the destruction effects. They've got ways to benefit from having empty fields, so the Rico's not that big of an issue. They play multiples of all of their links, so Crackle isn't that big of a damager. Going first, going second, they either break the field. They're like quite good at breaking the field. So like I think Sky Strikers had a lot of potential for the format. Fairy Tales. I don't know enough about Fairy Tales right now, but I have seen Fairy Tale with Magistus, and I think Magistus are going to be one of these ones, like an engine that's going to add potential to stuff, because I think you play this with Dracotale. You can play this with Invoked when we get the new card. You play it with the Fairy Tales Snow coming back. Like there's a lot that this deck can now do, and I think they've got like they could be very, very good. I think that they could put in a lot of work, the Magistus and the Fairy Tales. And what I like about the Fairy Tales, you can change names of your opponent's monsters, and it can make it very, very awkward. In Sky, just play Super Poly with Garura, Mud, and Theseus, and you're 100% sure compete with everyone. In Sky Strikers, play Super Poly in Sky Strikers. What? Why would you? I'm confused. Why would you play? What? Why would you play Super Poly? Are you talking about playing Super Poly in Sky Strikers? What, and then Garura, Mud, or Theseus in the main monster? But then how are you getting rid of it? Like, surely you then need to have... You're going to put them into the extra monster zone. And then you need to have... What, linkage? Right? You need to have linkage to send them to get rid of them to clear the field. Interesting. Power Patron hybrids, I think, are going to have multi-surprise factors. And what I mean by that is... You can play the Power Patrons with, like, this ignores Doomsday. Like, Doomsday playing Power Patrons completely different. Yeah, I mean, to rely on Super Poly plus discard and linkage to me is crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's like, so do you not play Super Poly if you don't see linkage? And then your breaker becomes, like, depending on what you're taking out, you're probably better off playing, like, Forbidden Droplet or Fallen the Virtuous, right? Surely. No, there's no way. There is no way that you are telling me that you go Super Poly into Garura, Muddragon, or Theseus, or whatever, to then normal summon down Ray to go into the generics, because the generics are terrible as well. Like, the generic links you don't want on the field. What are the generic? Let's have a look. Sky Striker Link monsters, right? The generic. Where are the generics? So the generics that can then be used. So you would need to have Ray to go into Zeke, to 2 monsters including the Sky Striker Ace, and then to burn Zeke is insane. 0 is 2 Sky Striker Ace monsters, so you can't do that. Azalea is 2 light and or dark monsters, which is very specific. Camellia is generic, right? Camellia is just 2 effect monsters. Camellia is 2 effect monsters. If you have 3 or less spells in the grave, you send a striker card from the deck to the grave. If it's sent to the graveyard, target a monster your opponent controls, special on this card to your opponent's field, but shift control of it during the end phase of this turn. And if you do, send the target monster. I suppose Camellia is probably like the best thing you could go for. I still think it's wild. To have to rely on opening up linkage or Ray is just crazy. Camellia 0 and Engage 0. Like, that's just wild. Linkage or first use your effect like Anchor, who needs no monsters in main monster zone, and then use Super Poly. Yeah, zero needs two striker ace monsters. I think to play Super Poly in strikers is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I mean, if it works for you, fair play, but I think that's... Depending on what you're taking out of the deck as well, I would probably much rather play better breakers. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Power Patron hybrids. So Power Patron hybrids, I'm considering stuff like Dark Lords, even just pure Power Patrons as well. I'm not including Power Patrons with Doomsday because I think Doomsday is just a different breed on its own. I think Doomsday is incredibly powerful. So, talking about Doomsday, I think Doomsday is a high-end contending deck this format. I think the deck can do incredibly well. I think the new card is insane, or new cards to be exact. And then when you mix them with the Power Patrons, the fact that they can set up an Omnigate can make it very awkward. I don't think they're perfect against Cool Tunes, which is why they're not on the same level as Cool Tunes. But yeah, I wish I had data for... Have we got any Doomsies here? I'll be surprised if there are any, to be honest. Let's just go Doom. Oh, there are. There we go. What we got? 1 week ago, 195, top 8, winner, 6 days ago, top 8, winner, top 8, top 4, runner up, top 4. So not bad. Like in the space of well, that one doesn't count, but 4 months ago. It still counts, but not like there. That one can't really count Armage Doomsday, but like in a week, it's had 2, 4, 6, 8 tops, which I think that's pretty good, pretty impressive. Yeah, so I think Doomsday is definitely like a high-end competitive deck. Elf Note. Elf Note is weird because I really like the new card they got. I think Regina's insane for the deck. So we've got Branded Elf Note, Fiendsmith Elf Note, Elf Note Cool Tune, Elf Note White Forest, Fiendsmith Elf Note Mitsu. This is all a month ago as well. Like, I think they've got potential. I think Elf Note have huge potential. And then finally, Trains. I don't think Trains have got as much. I think Trains are scary. Like, the fact they're just like, hey, here's a 5k boss monster. I'll be like, what? Yeah, there we go. Like, 1 week ago, 2 years ago. Like, I think their new card's insane. And I think it would be a jump scare. Like, if I haven't practiced against Trains, if I sat down against Trains, I'm going to be like, what? I have no idea when to interact with you or anything. And then they just put on these fat stack, attack stat boss monsters and just start punching through all your stuff. You're like, what the heck is going on? So, like, Trains would scare me a little bit. I'd be like, okay, as you were. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Trains could be really scary. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see Trains do a lot, but I think they're just like an insanely powerhouse bunch of monsters. But once you disrupt them or stop them getting to their rank 10s, it's probably quite easy to beat and take on and do what you got to do with, I guess. Okay, so I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, these are always going to be opinionated. Like, is there any chance we can move away from True Light? Not really. I think like True Light's too good. The fact that you can place it face up is pretty insane. I think the only way you worry about True Light is you need to save a card effect that returns it to the hand when your opponent tries to destroy it. Or you need to have a Spirit Dragon on the field so you can negate your own True Light when it tries to blow up your field. That's literally it. Yeah, anyway. Thank you so much for watching this. Like I said, these are always going to be opinionated. Without having the data in front of me for post list, these are always going to be a bit more like estimates than anything else. But if you take the data that we've just received and you kind of take the Forbidden Limited list into account and go, right, what's got stronger, what's got weaker, what's changed, what's this, what's that, like that's kind of how I've tried to approach this. Maybe I'll find out and like give it a week or two when the new list is live, like just before, like the week before Nats, and then obviously I can redo this, and then we'll be able to use that data to see if any of these decks have actually changed. Might be pretty good to be like, okay, well, Malice is now a consistent high-end contender. This goes up here. Gem Knights are now a high-end contender. Like, prove me wrong kind of vibe. That's what I want to see. Like, using the data here, which I actually don't think is a bad thing to do. Maybe that's maybe that's worthwhile doing as like a revisit of a tier list. Like, revisit and be like, right, this is what I had as a tier list. Let's move these around to actually what they respond to. So, like, if we didn't see them change this to like never featured and be like boom, 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 and then just keep high in consistent topper and higher contender, and then potential would be like if they get like 1 or 2 tops, right? So then we'd move these into positions for where they were. If they never got a top, like, so you'd probably change this to be like no tops, single top. Multi-top, and then what, multi-winners, something like that, and then I guess you just shuffle these around and work it that way. Could be kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be heading off too as well. It's been a long ass day, so I'm going to head to bed. I've got a couple of bits of content to do over tomorrow. So I've got the Red Dragon Archfiend profile to update, which is going to be really cool. I've got a train profile that I want to do. I've got GMXs. I've got Fairy Tales that I also want to try and do at some point as well. Yeah, there's like a lot to still do. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you single one of you that kind of participated and got involved. It was really cool to kind of chat with you and kind of go through it and everything else like it always is. But yeah, like it's always a good conversation to talk about. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.